Good morning and welcome. Happy New Year, baby. The Patriot Radio News Hour 2025 has rolled in and already, wow. If this is any indication of what 2025 is going to be, look out, right? We had the incident, and I guess the ramming incident in New Orleans, the truck bombing, for lack of a better term, in Las Vegas, and man, is 2025 getting off to a really interesting start. I mean, we dubbed it the year of chaos in 2024. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's going to be the year of the bombing in 2025. We'll have to wait and see. The Sugar Bowl got delayed, right? So that's not going to get played until today because that was supposed to be in New Orleans. And, of course, immediately I started thinking about Jason. This is horrible. When I get a few days off, I shouldn't have to think about Jason, but nope, it pops in my head because Jason's been saying for a while. Now he says Super Bowl, right? Hey, they're going to bomb the Super Bowl, but these college playoff games. Let's face it, they're like the Super Bowl, right? They got 70,000 plus people and. But the Sugar Bowl will go on today. Tough break for ASU. The only good game so far of the new college playoff system, losing a heartbreaker in double overtime to Texas, who's quickly becoming, I'm as you guys know, born and raised Syracuse, big Syracuse fan. We had a great football season. But our basketball team now stinks, right? Used to be, we had a great basketball team, but the football team stunk. But I do root for the Sun Devils because obviously I live here and a great year for them. Just a tough way to end. Been a tough start for me. I fell. Yes, well, what did you do? You tripped? No, I just fell. Apparently, walking now has become difficult as I get older, apparently, and very unathletically fell. But my wife, by the way, thought it was hilarious. So she just laughs, even this morning. So I'm getting ready to go to work, and my eyes got a little banged up. I hurt my little pinky finger. I don't know if I broke it or not, but I'm like, I need to play golf. That's an important part of my golf grip. I skinned my knee. Oh, yeah. Anyway, let's just say yesterday I just sat there going, and I had the ice pack on my face, on my finger. So that's how the new year has started for me. But, man, I tell you what, why do I have a feeling this is going to be it may be an even crazier year than last year, if we can actually believe that. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And Jason, quite a start to the new year, and the details coming out on these bombings. Both of these guys, former U.S. military personnel, and I saw a headline today. They're actually looking in to, hey, is this a thing possibly that Al Qaeda or whoever's infiltrated the U.S. military?
Yeah, it has all the markings of a nice false flag,
Right.
We should all know from learning about World War II that the Japanese had these things called kamikaze pilots. The fact that these are military just, stinks. And sure looks like they're very quickly, as Trump's coming into office, are going to get a new war ready, as I believe Ukraine will probably come to an end, so that everyone will be so happy about I hear a lot of people that are really just excited about the new year, and they think things are going to be great, Joe. People that don't listen to this show and don't listen to this station, I hear a lot of optimism, Joe, a lot of it. So, they gotta come up with a way, I guess. I mean, there's going to be a military budget, and you can't say, hey, we need to spend more on military if you don't have a war, right? So, the guy had the ISIS flag, right? The ISIS flag. He flew the ISIS flag and was running over football fans and blowing up the Elon Musk truck in front of the Trump Tower. You see Trump on, right? It was like a photo op. And I'll say like this: we sell gold and silver. This is going to set you up that you better start buying this stuff quick, because this stuff could spiral out of control, right, Joe? As you said, who knows what the exact plan is? Is it this year? This year they're going to blow things up? The last time they were blowing things up, the Ukraine war, gold was going crazy in 2022. Not to mention in 2021 when the whole capital business was going on, that freaked out a lot of people as well, Joe.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those things where optimism, I think, is something where it's kind of like your sports team. Right? Like, okay, you had a bad year, but the NFL draft is coming up, right? And you get all excited and you got the player you want. Like, we got Marvin Harrison. We're like, oh my gosh, yes, he's going to go for 2,000 yards, catch 50 touchdowns, right? And the guy was like, I mean, he wasn't horrible, but he's like, and let's face it, right? We still stink. We'll see how it goes. Patriot Radio News Hour. Stay with us. We'll be right back. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason. What is today, Jason? Is it Thursday? It's Thursday. Okay.
Thursday.
I'm all confused. We've got all these days off. And Thursday, January the 2nd. The Dow's down 100. The S&P's down 7. The NASDAQ down about 20. The 10-year note. They were hoping it was going to go lower, but, I guess that's just a hope. 4, 5, 7. I would not be surprised. Do not be surprised to have a 10-year note break 4.6 this week. Crude oil up $1.70. Something's up. Something is definitely up here. Right now, crude oil almost $74. Natural gas on a big tear. We got cold weather here in the U.S. on top of no more Russian gas to Ukraine. The gas line for Europe with Russia goes through Ukraine. Well, Ukraine now has turned off the gas, and so it's going to put a lot of pressure on natural gas prices here at home. One of those unintended consequences of what's happening there in the FX market. The dollar is a little stronger today, but not a lot. The Japanese yen, keep watching on the Japanese yen to see where that ends up. The crypto side of things seems like crypto now has been in this like 95,000 range, right? It gets down to the low 90s, gets up to 96, 97. That's been the range. We'll see what the next direction. Gold is on the move, up $30, 26.55. This is 26.50, and really, I'll just say this: we break above 26.60. Get ready for 27. Silver coming back to life here, up 60 cents, 29.45. And Jason, I gotta believe that a lot of people think that, hey, things have to be bad for gold to be good. It was last year. I know it was a year of chaos. Stock market was up 20%, right? Well, S&P. Gold was up 30. Silver, same thing. By the way, I guess on crude oil stocks are lower. Cushing tanks are at the bottom. Major builds in gas and distillates, but neither of those things really a big factor. I've been hearing a lot of talk about Iran. Are we setting up here for, Jason, he calls them false flag events, and those that can mean a lot of things. But normally what we see is there'll be an event that somehow means we've got to go invade a country, right? Right. Doesn't matter who did it, right? In this case, right, both of these individuals, not only were they U.S. citizens, right? They were former military personnel on top of it. One of them from Colorado, I guess, the Trump bombing in Colorado. But here's the thing that I want everyone to understand. Because, listen, we could have the euphoria. We could, right? That Trump cuts the regulations, gets control of the border, the economy skyrockets. Could happen. I don't. It's probably the least likely scenario, but it could happen. It could happen. The only problem is inflation is coming with it. Gold is going to do spectacular in that scenario again. The most likely scenario, at least in my opinion, is we probably have a flat Wall Street to flat to down a little bit, because let's face it, Wall Street's had 2 big years in a row. You normally don't get 3. You just don't. We've got big debt problems. A lot of it Donald Trump can't do anything about. Just can't do it. Matter of fact, over the weekend, when everybody wasn't paying attention, what's going on with the football games? What's going on with the bombings? Right? All of this stuff. People just don't want to know. They don't want to recognize. They just don't want to understand how much debt is coming. Over the weekend, Michael Snyder, and we talk a lot about Michael Snyder. He does great work. Very good researcher. He just laid out. Right, Donald Trump's going to become the next president. He's going to get inaugurated in January. We're going to be at the debt ceiling. We said somewhere near $37 trillion. Right now, we're over 36.3, right, and growing. We won't know if we hit the debt ceiling, which I think we're going to. Then they're going to do that emergency measure nonsense and all that other stuff. We may not know exactly what it is when he hits office, right? But somewhere near $37 trillion. Here's the problem. In 4 years, the debt now, if we keep spending at the level that we're spending, in other words, forget about spending more money. Let's just say somehow Trump can keep it where it's at. People don't really understand the ramifications of where we're going to be. Jason, we're not talking about $40 trillion. By the end of Trump's 4th year, we will have a national debt over $50 trillion. $51 trillion is kind of the number generally accepted out there. Jason, that's $15 trillion higher than it is today. Well, let's do the math. Right? Let's, 15 divided by 4, that's $3.75 trillion a year. Yep. What? I'm going to tell you this. We're not going to go $3.75 trillion in debt in 2025. We're not. We'll be close to 3. It'll be, I hope it's still going to be in the 2s. Which means by the time Trump gets to his 4th year, Jason, we're going to be talking about budget deficits of over $5 trillion. And there's almost nothing that these people can do about it. And that's the part that you know, when people are sitting there talking about all this, is the part you don't understand. Which means, in order for this to even be remotely feasible, we would have to have a GDP somewhere around 55 to 60 trillion. Because if it's only 50 trillion, oh no, because that, now you're over 10%. That means GDP right now is in the low 30s. Even with all the inflation, we're only in the low 30s. So how do we get from the low 30s to 60? How do we get there? Because I'm going to tell you right now, that's what's going to happen. Make no mistake about it. Every 8 years, the debt doubles. That's just the math of it.
Yep.
That's just the math of it. Because that's what they've done to us. That's what Janet Yellen and Jay Powell have done to us. The only way that happens, it's inflation, right? Things have this. The $1 million home, which already most of us are like, this home can't be $1 million. This is not $1 million home. Well, you're going to have to adjust your expectations. It's going to be $2 million. The entry $400,000, it better be $1 million. The eggs that are $4, $5, $6, $8, depending on the day, 20. Right? You think McDonald's is expensive now? Everything's got to double again. See, in order to keep up, the debt's going to double. That means GDP's got to at least double, Jason. And there's only one way to do it, and that's inflation. That's it. Or you go the other way and you actually try to say, you know what, we're not going to let 50 trillion happen. I don't know if you can stop it. That's the problem. Even if we did, Elon Musk is going to cut stuff. Come on, guys.
50 trillion's a certainty, Joe. It's a certainty. It's not maybe going to happen. It's a certainty. No, it's a certainty. Listen, if you quit thinking about these big numbers, the trillions here and the hundreds of billions there, and look at it as a percentage, this is the same thing that's been going on since before Reagan. This debt, it goes up by a percentage. This is why it folds over and doubles about every 8 to 9 years, like as Joe was saying. It's a debt money system, and one of the most important parts of the debt money system is the banking system. Not even just the central bank, the big banks, right? And Joe, they're going to want to make their money, right? How are they going to make their money in this inflative situation that Joe just laid out? They're going to up the interest rates. So as the housing goes, how does a bank make enough interest money if the housing prices go down? Well, it's inflative. Everything's the housing prices are going down because people can't buy, but food is more expensive, gas is more expensive, building the actual homes is more expensive. So if you got that $600,000, $700,000 house and it starts sinking down to $550,000, and suddenly there's a bunch of people trying to sell because they see the values going down. Banks don't care. They're going to 7% interest on that loan, 8% interest, 9%, 10%, 12%. Right, Joe? We have a roadmap. We have the 70s and the 80s to look at these ridiculously high interest rates until they inflate their way into smoothing out a road to kick the can even further down the road, Joe. And I think digital currencies, I've been looking more and more at Bitcoin about how, the irrational exuberance, maybe I'll use the word against cryptocurrencies. I think there's definitely some plans in place to try to fool the people into a lower standard of living. You don't need to own a house. If you need something that grows in value, put a little bit here in Bitcoin. We'll tax you on unrealized gains on maybe we'll just do it on cryptos. But Joe, I actually see cryptos as a way that gets a debt money system. And I'm hearing these crypto guys. Well, hey, this is the asset. You can borrow against it anytime you want in the future. The banks are going to loan you money against it. It's like, oh, that just sounds great, Joe. Big, huge banks that are going to fail have Bitcoin positions that they can then loan against. Think about how many trillions of dollars they can pump into that market when everybody's selling their stocks. Well, just put it here. Look, it's growing. Oh, yeah, I know your Apple stock just crashed. Put it here and then borrow against it. It's rigged. The whole thing, Joe, is so rigged. Hold on to your gold. Start stacking it up. Get the silver, whatever level you can come in at, because real things are becoming more and more scarce as we speak, Joe.
Oh, boy. Things that are real. Holy cow. Who would have thought those would be worth money? Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here on this Thursday, January the 2nd. $20 gold pieces, $27.90 today, $2,790. Gold right now, $2,656. It's up 30. Silver's up 60 cents, 29.45. Junk silver, really inexpensive right now. Really, it is. You think about the roll of dimes, $117.50. Rolls of quarters, $2.35. For my money, buy $0.50 at $2.40. That's going to get you your best bang for your buck for U.S. government hallmarked gold or hallmarked silver. A lot cheaper than Silver Eagles right now. 800-951-0592. Let's get perspective. Let's go back to when Jesus was born. And it doesn't matter which calendar you use, right? We can say December 25th. What Jesus is born. Okay? So 2,000 plus years ago. Do you know if you had spent $1 million a day, that you still wouldn't have spent $1 trillion? 2,000 years. $1 million a day, and you wouldn't have spent $1 trillion yet. That's just, I want you to kind of let that sink in a little. Within the next 4 years, we'll run deficits of $5 trillion in a single year. In a single year. Why won't the bond market go down? Well, because there's so darn much of it. The thing that really is crazy about how much it really is, and the fact that these people that we entrusted, right, Janet Yellen especially, and I said this, go back when she took over for Ben Bernanke, and I was telling everybody she'll go down, at least in my opinion. First of all, Alan Greenspan was no maestro. Let's get that established first. They were able to hide a lot of spending then. We have politicians. I don't know that I blame them, right? Because it's hard to blame them, because what are they going to do? What are they really going to say? right? Are they really going to say, hey, guys, by the way, I've got to cut your Social Security benefits. We've got to throw people off Medicaid and Medicare, and right, we got to cut all this stuff. And I need to cause the next Great Depression because we lived way beyond our means. No, they're not gonna say it. They're not. They're not. Is Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, are they going to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and defense? Are they? The answer is no. We all know that's the answer. Let's not lie about it. That's the answer. We're not doing it. Okay. I get it. Then what's the alternative? Well, I just laid it out for you. There's only one alternative. There's only one answer to it. It's inflation. Simple. And really, what is inflation? Man, we printed a lot of dollars. We just told you, $1 trillion. You spend $1 million a day for 2,000 years. You haven't spent $1 trillion. We've got so much of it. Right? That everyone's like, well, I used to be able to sell my product, let's just say whatever it is, for, I got you. How about this? I could sell a Big Mac for $1.99. Why is a Big Mac not, matter of fact, when I was going, I think it was 99 cents, but let's go with $1.99. Why is a Big Mac not $1.99 anymore? It's made of the same stuff. 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, right? You know the jingle. Why? Why is it more? Well, guess what? Everybody wants more dollars. Why? Because they printed too many of them. It's their way. See, the Romans didn't have a way of doing it because the money was gold. So what did they do? They tried to cut the coins. Well, people saw it, they got smaller. Right? They wanted more. See, what a great idea they would come up with these pieces of paper with some ink on it. Says $1 bill. Hell, you can't even have a dollar store anymore. It says $1. Right? I wonder when they're going to rename the dollar store the $5 store, because that's what it's going to, right? That's what it's going to. But Jason, you
Joe,
get my point.
If you really want to illustrate inflation recently, everyone knows COVID, the big COVID emergency, right? And then suddenly Trump and the Fed, hey, let's print up half of all the money that's going to ever be in existence in 2020, going into 2021. And the number one asset class in 2021, do you want to know what went up the most? How would you have made the most money if you would have put $1 million into it in 2020? Used cars. Everybody got their free checks. They all went to the used car lot and gave it over to the used car lot, and then the banks got the loan. You got your $2,000 check. The bank gets the loan on the other $8,000 if you got a junker for $10,000. And used car prices skyrocketed. Suddenly, lots didn't have cars available. New car lots were having trouble selling the new cars because they were so much more expensive because the prices on those were going up. And now go look at the car lots, right, Joe? Look at the struggle of inflation, what it's done to the cars in these car lots trying to sell cars, and nobody can afford them, right, Joe?
Yeah, no one can afford a car, can't afford a new car, can't afford a new home, can't afford, well, maybe you can still afford the Big Mac. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. When we talk about, hey, where's gold going to be? How high? How much higher can gold? I mean, what a great year it was. What's a great year? And we're talking, the question for this year is how much higher than 3,000 is it going to be? I think that's really the only question. But when we look out, because let's just say 2030, which is right around the corner here. When we start talking about where the debt is going to be, it's really hard. Because, I used to, and this is going back, like I said, I've been doing this a long, long time. Over 20 years I've been doing this show. And people used to talk about $10,000 gold. Gold is like $400. And I'm just like, okay, calm down, guys. Let's just get to 1,000, right? Right before we start talking about 10. Jason, I think we need to start talking about 10. That's what I think is coming. In the next 5, maybe it's 10 years, $10,000 gold. It'll be to the point, we talk about, God, you can't afford a new house, can't afford a new car. A lot of people, hey, you're not going to be able to afford to buy gold. Heck, you may not even be able to afford to buy silver. And it doesn't matter because, and I keep saying it doesn't matter, because they've made the choice already. They already know. That's why the digital currency is going to come. Because in order to keep it going, inflation is going to roar again. You thought it roared. It didn't. That was it just waking up.
Preseason.
Right? Yeah. It just woke up. Oh, well, it kind of came back down. Yeah, because it was taking a shower. You know what I'm saying? Now it's getting ready to go out and do stuff for the day. That's what's coming. Why do I say that's coming? Because I know what the debt is going to do. There's no way we're going to have a $3 and $4 trillion budget deficit with a GDP of $30 trillion. It's not going to happen. It's not. Well, Trump's going to get the economy going. You're right, he will. I think. Maybe. He will. But what does that really mean? Do we have to invade Iran? Gosh, that seems like it's kind of going that way, isn't it? Sure feels that. Doesn't it feel that way?
Yep.
Right. Well, gosh, we got to get oil over $100. Right? We got to get $5, $6 gas. Right. We got to get all that stuff again. Here we go. Why? Because we can't afford it. We almost have to do it. It's either do that or have the next Great Depression. Which one would you want? Jason, I'm sorry, but that's literally the only option. Literally the only option.
In 2018, 2019, when I first came on with Patriot, we were selling $20 gold pieces for $1,250. Right now, you're in a kind of a good spot because it was getting close to that 3,000 level where you can get one for about $2,800. And Joe said 10 years, $10,000. Is that what you're saying? That's about 6 years right there. 6 years, $1,250 to $2,800. That's the same as in the next 6 years, which that put us right at 2030, 6,000 gold. But that's if things are. You just have one COVID in the middle there somewhere. Right? You have you change one war, Ukraine, and everyone celebrates the end of that war, which I think that's gonna. I think that's just the game plan. I think this is all planned, and then you have the planned war move into the Middle East, because that's this administration. They have plans to to make the Middle East a certain way, and that means that certain bad actors need to be removed. Look what happened to Syria. People don't want to talk about Syria too much. Syria's a big deal. That's a big deal.
What a mess.
What a big deal that is. And now who's left? Who's left? And there you have Lebanon, right? You have Iran. And you have a little bit of Yemen down there. They've been trying to starve those people to death for decades now. There's not, they're going to push for this stuff, and it's not going to be inexpensive. The economic system is what's driving this. Geopolitics is driven by the worldwide economic system, Joe. And gold at $6,000 for 20 before 2030, I think that's also a certainty. $50 trillion on the debt and $6,000 $20 gold pieces before 2030, I think is a certainty.
Well, 27.90. Get everyone you can. You want more? I'll give you more. Delinquency rates for office mortgages. This is now, we've got our first. This has taken out the financial crisis. So we've got a lot of this data, like, okay, it's the worst since 2010. It's the worst since 2008. Worst since 2011. We got a lot of stuff right near the financial crisis. This one, taking it out. Wolf Richter does a great job as well. Commercial mortgage-backed securities in default now, 11%, a new all-time record high. In the last 2 years, it's gone from 1.6% to 11%. And guess what? Wolf says it isn't done. But don't worry, your money in the bank's going to be fine. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back. 800-951-0592. Gold's up 34 in change. 2660. That's kind of the magic number here. I expect higher gold prices as we close above 2660 right now, sitting right at it. Silver's up 67 cents. 29.53, $20 gold pieces, $2,790. Come on. So close to spot here. Get it taken care of. And I don't care what the outcome is. Crash, great. Inflation, fine. World War III, fine. Right? There's almost really nowhere other than gold going higher to go. And again, I'm going to say this, worrisome here on commercial real estate. Because you got to remember that we're talking office at 11, but retail space, it's at 6.5. And right, we got Party City going out of business, Big Lot going out of business, right? Denny's, all these places right there. The shutdowns are happening, and all these banks got away with bloody murder, extending and pretending, because that was the plan. Okay, well, just wait till if we can just get to next year, somehow it's going to be better. It's not. The Fed was going to cut and cut and cut, and that was going to make it better. But guess what? The bond market said no, didn't it? Said nah, he can cut. Rates ain't going down. Remember Ally Bank? Remember they had a hiccup here not too long ago? There's a company out there, maybe some of you that do stocks a lot, you'll know this company, Hindenburg. They are renowned at calling BS on companies. Matter of fact, they took down India's richest man last year. Well, guess who's in their sights now? Carvana. They say is, well, let me just read it to you. After their investigation, Carvana is trading at 845 times a higher sale multiple than its peers, CarMax, AutoNation, 754% premium on forward earnings. They called Carvana's accounting father and son accounting grift for the ages. And then they talked about how much they've dumped on Ally. Right? That's the lending arm of General Motors, right? Which goes with Ally Bank as well. But saying that Ally now is holding almost 10% of their loans are centered around Carvana. Something where, historically they're like, it should be under 5. It should be like 3 or 4%. No, it's almost 10%. And talking about the fact that, Jason, that they lien filings that are starting to pile up. Get ready. According to Hindenburg, Carvana is getting ready to go under. This is what they're saying. And oh, by the way, you better look out for Ally as well. Yeah, there you go. But don't worry, it'll be fine. Don't get your gold put away. No, you know what? Don't call. Or call. Go ahead and call. 800-951-0592. Jason and I coming right back with the half-empty cup. Stay with us.